We are celebrating tonight on the Savage Nation that at last the dreams of the LSD people and the age of the hippies is finally coming to pass, and soon there will be health care for all. And of course, there'll be less health care, but that doesn't mean anything. The important thing is that there'll be more health care, even though there'll be less health care. Because if the government says it'll be better, it will be better. As you well know, although the hippies said the government was not to be trusted, those were a different time. Under Obama, you must trust the government. And we're all celebrating tonight, although we found new details of the final health care bill in the last few minutes that we'll report on. You'll see in the long run how smart Obama and Pelosi are and how good they really are. For example, here's what we just found. Individuals will be required to buy health insurance. And those of you who fail to buy coverage are going to face fines up to 2.5% of your total income under Obama. Now, that's good, because if you're a big enough pig that you don't want to buy health care, and you want to deny health care to illegal aliens, and you want to deny health care to homeless bums who puke on themselves for using too many drugs and stuff, well, let me ask you something. Who's right and who's wrong? Who comes first, the homeless or the person providing the money? So those are good things. Let's say you're a company with more than 50 people and you don't offer medical coverage. You're going to face a fine of up to $2,000 per full-time employee, and that's good because you're a pig. In fact, any business owner is automatically suspect under this administration. So this is just proving what the Soviets and particularly under Stalin have said for a long time now, that business is corrupt. And all people who own businesses are corrupt and suspect. Federal subsidies, for example, are going to be provided. We just learned this. There will be federal subsidies to help people with incomes up to 400% of the poverty level purchase coverage on the exchange. That means that you, who are not at the poverty level, will be paying for their health care. And that's the way it should be. Because if you look back at what Father Marx wrote, to each according to his need, or for each according to his need, from each according to his ability. And if you can pay more and the other man can't pay, isn't it right that you should pay for the other man? Who said you have the right to have more than the next man? Don't you understand that it's been unfair, and we've been waiting for a day that finally a man who has studied Marx and Lenin would arise in America to bring fairness to all? And so we look into the health plan. We just got it off the web, and we're looking more carefully. We found, for example, that the proposed changes would get rid of a special deal to help Nebraska pay for the expanded coverage, and it's going to instead boost aid to all states. Now, that'll cost about $1 trillion over 10 years. But who do you think is going to pay for it? Certainly not the poor. Why should the poor pay for anything? It's the fat pig rich who should pay for everything. We also found in the bill just now how they're going to finance it, and this is also very good news. We actually are doing our homework as we speak here on the Savage Nation. The Senate bill included a 40% excise tax on high-cost health insurance plans. Did you hear that? Well, we just learned that the proposed changes are actually going to delay implementation of the tax until 2018 instead of 2013. And the tax is going to kick in on plans costing $10,200 for individuals and $27,500 for family coverage. And that's very, very good, because this is going to hit women, older workers, and retirees right where they deserve it. As you well know, although the administration claims that they are especially sensitive to women, older workers, and retirees, they had to get this through by all means necessary. And although they're going to kick women, older workers, and retirees in the guts, the important thing is that they not know that. The bill also calls for raising the payroll taxes for Medicare. Now, what does that mean to you? Let's say most of you don't work anyway. Most of you are on the dole or have a government job, so this doesn't matter to you. But those in the country who are evil enough to have built a business and actually have a payroll tax, well, they should and they will pay more. In fact, the government health insurance plan for the elderly is going to require a kick up from 1.4% up to 2.3% for the payroll taxes. And that's good. And for couples earning $250,000 or more, it's going to go up from 1.4% to 2.3%. And that's a good tax, because it's going to help those who don't work. It's going to help the illegal alien. It's going to help those on the bottom who are too lazy or too stupid to earn their own health care. So you're going to pay for that. Now, what about the greedy medical device manufacturers? And what about those evil pharmaceutical companies? And what about those evil insurers? they're going to get it right between the eyes. In fact, the new bill, we just found out, will impose fees on medical device manufacturers, insurance providers, and brand name pharmaceuticals. And that's good. We don't really need brand name pharmaceuticals. If you look at all of the discoveries in pharmaceuticals over the last 50 years, where did they come from? Well, most of them came from America. And, of course, that was based on the profit motive. So what does it tell you? It tells you that without the profit motive, there will be no new medical devices and there'll be no new medications. Well, that's good because that will drive down healthcare costs. And that's the brilliance of Obama. If you punish the drug companies and they stop investing money in new nasty drugs, we all benefit. We don't need the drugs. We can use herbs. People can go back to nature. They can go out into the field and pick nature medicines the way that God wants it done. There's no need for you to need those nasty medications. And eventually, the taxes may become so high that all new medical devices are canceled altogether in America, those nasty new discoveries called medical devices. Who do you think invests in medical devices? Greedy inventors. Greedy pig capitalist inventors invest in these things. And so this is all part of the Marxist-Leninist Obama, Pelosi, Rahm Emanuel vision for the future, which is lower costs through higher costs and less care through less care. Of course, that's not the way it's being presented. Now, what about those of you on Medicare who think you're going to do better? We just found that the new legislation will freeze payments to insurers that provide coverage to Medicare patients in 2011 and begin reducing the coverage subsidy in 2012. And that is good because eventually the coverage will be so reduced that tens of thousands of people who are getting help through Medicare won't get the help that they don't need. Because according to Dr. Obama, most of you are not really needing that help. You don't need those medications. You don't need those devices. You're just capitalizing on a corrupt, inefficient system. And so, as I say, this is all a good time for the American people. And now I'll take the callers after 40 minutes of celebrating the great Obama and his introduction of socialized medicine, by all means necessary. Finally, Malcolm X's dream has come true. We can go to the callers. Kansas City, Mark, you're first up on the Savage Nation.
You know, Michael, I'm just so happy that you have finally come around to see the light on this whole thing. And I'm just wondering, do you think maybe we can get the cap and tax passed by maybe 4th of July, Independence Day? We can have that.
Well, I think that the president should do away with Congress altogether. I think that through executive order, we should eliminate that inefficient body called Congress, because all they do is fight and argue. What do they really know, right? Do we really need more than one branch of government?
Yeah, peace and love, man. That's just...
No, but Mark, look, Thomas Friedman is known to be a wonderful, kindly man. He wrote an article for the New York Times the other day where he celebrated how keen the system is in China and how inefficient and kind of old-fashioned our system is. And I think it's time for us to have a healthy discussion about eliminating Congress altogether, because with a man like Obama, sure, we needed Congress when we had dumb white men in the office, right? But we don't need a Congress when we have such a brilliant man such as Obama. He's sort of a Superman, and he sees all and knows all. So what do we need Congress for?
Nothing. And in fact, I think even now that I've even released or broke away from these mean, angry ideas that I had, peace and love is just taken over on me. And
that's right. Take a look at the advisors to Obama. He has none other than the genius, the Nobel Prize-winning Al Sharpton inside the White House. Doesn't that tell you that he's being advised by the best and brightest?
And he cares about everybody. It doesn't matter.
Yes, he has Jesse Jackson in the White House. He has Al Sharpton there. You know, Kennedy surrounded himself with the best and brightest. And look at Obama, who he's picked. He's gone to the highest levels of society in order to get the best advice for the American people.
This is hard to pretend, I'm telling you.
Well, I'm not pretending. I'm thrilled. I mean, when you see Al Sharpton in the White House, you know things are good for the American people. When you hear that Jesse Jackson is no longer rioting in the street and threatening companies because he doesn't have to, because he's frankly in charge of their legislation, that's good because there's less riots in the street. This way, he can just hold the companies up directly.
I feel like I'm going to put an extra $20 on the bottom of my tax form.
Well, look at who else he's got in there. He's being advised by none other than the Reverend Louis Farrakhan. Can it be any better than to have Reverend Louis Farrakhan advising the president on spiritual matters?
Oh, it's awesome.
Well, you don't want a cracker preacher in there, do you?
No.
No, you don't want some cracker preacher advising the president. You want someone honest like Obama. That's what you really want today, because it's a better world that way. Thank you very much.